Okay, fine. Seems it's much better now. Let me share the screen with you. Let me share the link with you. Okay, I share the link with you. It should be better now. Okay, so I think we can continue. Oh, but it's much better now. Right. So yes, once the Maven files are installed, we can rename the project. To do it, please, for those who use Linux, you can generate the name of the project here by using this command line. For those who are not able to do it, just generate here. You can generate a name for your project by clicking here. Here's the link on exercise 2. Then go to Eclipse. Right, so once you're in Eclipse, press on the project we just imported, GTM, right click, navigate to refactor, rename, and here you can pass the generated name. Right, so once it is here, you will also see the POM file. This is the root file of every project. Right, here just change the name as well. Right, you also find this error, and I think you don't really need it for now, at least. Just remove it, save, and you won't have any errors here. At least you shouldn't have. Right. Okay, this is it for Eclipse setup. For those of you who use IntelliJ, I can show you same way how to do it. Just I think for those who use IntelliJ, you don't even maybe you don't even need to okay, you need to define the path here for M2 repository, or don't even need okay, that may be a bit complicated. I think we'll skip this for today, and for those of you who want to use IntelliJ, maybe we'll try to set up a different way. But okay, let's move forward with today's topic. Today we'll talk. This is a huge topic. We'll talk about main features, main elements of Java syntax, Java language. Moment. Okay, so yeah, today we'll talk about Java language, the base of Java language, the syntax of Java language. The agenda for today's presentation is to talk about the keywords used in Java, the operators, the statements, the blocks, the difference between operators and statements, in the identifiers, the namings, all this key stuff, primitive data types. We'll name and we'll discuss all these data types, primitive data types used in Java. I will show some basic ways how to write the comments, which comments to use, for which purpose. And yes, we'll talk about the declaration of the variables and the initialization of them, of the ways how to initialize the variables, and best practices, and so on and so on. And yes, of course, typecasting will cover this topic a bit. In my point of view, this is a huge topic, especially if we talk about object-oriented programming. In some cases, it can be a bit tricky and a bit difficult. Today, we'll just take a look on some simple things here: variable scope, conditions and branchings, reference variables, the properties of them, the arrays, the operations with the arrays, and we'll check some basic utility classes, and we'll discuss a bit the guidelines of the code. I'm not sure if we will manage to finish everything today. That's why maybe we'll move something to Friday session as well. Okay, let's start the code parts in general. The key things of code in Java. So yes, the main task for every program written in Java or any other similar language is first of all data processing. So if we use the question from Sandra. Oh yeah. Yes. Okay. Since Sandra is asking, you need to go to Sandra's asking you need to go to POM file and change artifact ID here, as it is described here. Sorry, not here, but here, right? So here, you need to choose to change the name mentioned here from GTM to the one you generated. Okay, I see there's one more question coming from Ilse. Okay, let's continue. And okay, yes, so question from Ilse. No, just on the first line. Yeah, just on the first line here. No, just here, and that's for Ilse. Nothing more steps needs to be done. Just go here, rename GTM to the name of your project, and that's it. That's it. What you need to do. Right. Okay. Let's move forward with the presentation. So yes, as I said, there's the data processing. So the idea of the code is that in application, for example, if there is information coming from customer or anything like that, any data coming, you need to process with the code. So this is what the program expects to do. And the control flow management, you need to manage the way everything is working there. The main syntax elements of program in Java are data, right? Statements which process the data, the comments which need to make the code more understandable for those who read it, and also for the documentation, and yes, what's white spaces as well. Let's start with the keywords. Java have the keywords. You probably already faced most of them. Let's just maybe go through the one you may not really seen really often. I think the package import is pretty straightforward. You have package, you need to declare in the code, then you have an import. It's just if you import any other classes or packages in your code, then the class, you want to declare the class num. Maybe let me share you. Maybe you haven't really worked with the num. It's just a simple thing. It's just a simple thing. Let me share it with you. Yeah, yes, Marit, just delete the stuff located on line 26 and 27. Right? You just remove it. You don't really need it now. So for Marit, 26 and 27, just remove these two lines and save. So if you have this error, yeah, just for those of you who had the error in POM file, just remove these two lines, and that's it. You need to remove the line of scope and this one, is if you have the error here. Otherwise, you shouldn't have any errors here. Right, so let's continue with the keywords. Yes, enum, you just pass it as a constant variables. For example, you have level, you can have low, medium, high. Then you can just use it as the data type and just pass it here. So this is how enum looks like. And yes, interface. We'll talk about it once we have the topic about object-oriented programming with abstract classes and interface. So in general, it's just kind of class where you don't need to actually by default it was before, if I remember correctly, Java 10 in the interfaces you could not write any methods. It's just like a skeleton of just the basement of the class where there's no implementation for it. But we'll talk about it later. So for inheritance extends, if you want to extend any class implements, if you want to implement the interface for conditions, if else, it's pretty straightforward. For it's kind of new way for no, it's just it's also pretty straightforward. If you have cycle, now there are some new features added for statement. We'll talk about later in recent versions of Java. Then you have while do statement, which is also pretty straightforward. Break if you want to go out of the statement of the cycle. Then continue, go to next iteration. Switch. If you have several options, you just want to switch between them. Then you need to use switch statement. Case as part of state of case and default are the part of switch block, switch statement. Then return if you want to go out from the void you're currently in. Right, for exceptions we have try, which is the start to catch the exception. Then there's a catch statement which catches the exception. Finally, it's also a part of try catch statement. We'll talk about it in this topic. Then throws if you throw the exception. Right. Yes, to check the conditions, you can use assert statement, which is not really used in the production environment. It's mostly used for test purpose. Right, for primitive data, and there are primitive data types in Java. Boolean, the simplest one, which has the values true or false. Char, which contains one character. Byte, short integer, long float, double for numbers. So we'll talk about them. And yes, to construct and use objects, we use new. To create a new object, this to point on the current object we are currently in when we write the code. I mean, when you write a statement, it points on the points of the object the statement is called from. Then super, if you want to access the super class, we'll talk about it as well. Instance of keyword, that's the if you want to check if the A is instance of B, we'll talk about it as well. Check the instance. Access modifiers, we'll talk about them. Public, protected, private, and there are some other modifiers. Abstract used for abstract classes and methods. Final, also mostly used for constant or final methods. Static, synchronized, transient, volatile, native, and strict FP used for networking mostly. These one, go face them if you work with networking. Then of course there's void, and yeah, from my point of view it's a bit strange for Java that there are the keywords which are reserved as the keywords but not used. It's constant, and goto. Maybe you have heard about goto statement, that it was excluded from Java. It is not excluded from C++, but there were lots of developers complaining about this goto, since it was making the code the codes where goto is used so confusing that they just excluded it, and it is not used in Java anymore. Okay, let's move with operators. These are methods, functions with some specific syntax, and yes, main groups of these are arithmetic operators, bit shift operators, comparison operators, logical operators, assignment, and conditional operators. So we'll talk about them today. So let's take a look on some basic operators. The first one is the brackets, which points for the method, right? Call, square brackets for array, dots to select the right section of the class of the object, postfix increment and decrement, and postfix and prefix, the increments, decrements. I think we can talk about even now, just to understand the difference between postfix, increment, decrement, and prefix, increment, and decrement. I think we can. Let's, for example, create. It's just for me. It's just for examples. You don't need to do any specific changes here. But if you want, you can create a new project for yourself. And here, just you probably automatically will have the src folder. Then you just can create, if you want, create a package, and then you can do the environment you want. It's not needed. It's just for me to show you how everything is working. Right. So let's, for me, just create a test method. So if you want to create the method, you want to create the class. Right, again, you can just double click on the package. No, not double click, but right click on the package. Press new class. You can create, for example, test class that's for myself. And here you can you can select that you want public static void main. So as we discussed in last lesson, that's the method that's the start method. That's the starter for each program. So now it is created, and let me show you the difference between increment and decrement. Sorry, just postfix and prefix increment and decrement. So imagine we have variable. Let's, for example, let be integer a. Let's give the value for it. Another comment from my side. Once you use Eclipse, please use the shortcut Ctrl+Shift+F just to format your code. We'll talk about it later, but it would be nice if you format your code properly, so it will be easier for yourself and for me to read it. Right. So here you have here we just declared integer, and let's check how. Let's print the output. And for example, here we see. Okay, let me show you two outputs here. Oh, yes, okay. So the first one is okay. Let's start with this one, so it'll be easy for us. So this is the prefix increment. Let's just run the command. Let's just run this program. So to run, you need to press on the class, then press run as Java application. Proceed. You can see that here it has added we has added 1 to a variable, and it is outputted on the screen. Same as with the second one, since we didn't make any changes here. But if you do the postfix increment, you can see it is after. Then just run the test. Yes, proceed. Okay, maybe we don't need this pop-up anymore. And as you can see, we have first of all we have an output 0, and then we have an output a. So it means that it called the statement. In this case, this method is println. So first of all, it passed the parameter a, which was 0. So the method was executed, the wait was executed, it printed as value 0, and after that it incremented the value, so the variable by 1. So this is the difference between postfix and prefix increment and decrement. Same if you do with minus, that would be the same. Right, okay, let's move forward. From current slide. Right, so we have just a simple plus minus operator, logical not and bitewise not, cast, operator new, multiplication, division and remainder, addition and subtraction, pretty straightforward. String concatenation, yes. Bitewise operators, we'll talk about them a bit. Relational, less than or equal. Instance of, as already mentioned, yes, relational, equal or not equal to, returns true or false, right? Bitewise operators, logical and, just simple for the statements. Often used very often. Ternary conditional. So this works in the way that we have the condition. See, so first of all you write the condition, like a for example a equals b, this is the condition, then if it's true, then it will execute what is located in the place of t. If it's false, then it will execute the stuff which is located on the place of f. Right, and then there's simple assignment with equal sign. Assignment by sum and difference, by product, quotient, and remainder. It's pretty straightforward. Like, maybe just to remind you. For example, here, just a plus equals 1. Pardon. Equals 1. Just end here. And we have that 1 is added. The same was, okay, let's for example do it this way. For example, we want to, let's multiply it by, let's multiply it, for example, this way. Right, so first of all, we just add 2 to 0, then we multiply it by 4. The outcome should be 8, right? Run, test, yes, the outcome is 8. Same with division, and so on and so on. Pretty straightforward. But, let's move on. Yes, bitewise operators. Yes, we'll talk about them later a bit. So yeah, as you already noticed, there are arithmetic operations like addition, subtraction, narrowing, minus, multiplication, division, modulus. Just module. Let me show you for those of you who don't know what the modulus is. It's just, for example, you can just press different. If you have 4 modulo 2, the outcome should be, for example, the outcome should be 0, since yeah, that's the remaining part of division by 2. So if we divide 4 by 2, we have result 2, and the remaining part is 0. If we do it, if we just, for example, divide 4 by 3, we'll have 1, right? Since we divide 4 by 3, it's 1 times 3 plus 1. Right, this is for modulus. For increment, yeah, it's the same way we talk about increment. Addition assignment, subtractions, same way division, and decrement, also pretty straightforward. Logical operators, yes, very widely used. Not operator, just like in basic logic, or, and exclusive or, shortcut and shortcut or, equal, not equal, assignment with, and assignment with or, XOR, pretty straightforward. Yes, for example, let's take this code. For example, put it here. So, for example, if there's a class, if there's a, so in this case, yeah, my date does not exist, but for example, imagine that there's a class. If there's a class date, maybe we can just create it here. It should be easy. So let's create, for example, a class my date, right? And then it has public, for example, int day. Default distance, for example. Okay, now just leave it this way. Okay. It's just okay. In this case, it shows us that the variable is not initialized, but in case we'll just initialize it. Yeah, just with in uppercase. So in this case, as you can see, if we have, for example, AND statement, and we have to AND operator, which double AND operator, which returns true or false. So in this case, we have two different conditions, and yes, for example, in this case, if the first one is not fulfilled, so if the first one is false, it does not check the second one. If it is true, it goes to the second one. And this one can be very important if you have, for example, a complicated statement here, like if you want to call some methods with which requires you some time, some resources, some complicated statements inside. In this case, it's really good that you put the easiest statement first, right? And then go just the easiest first, more complicated statement second, and so on and so on. So in this case, I recommend if you have these AND operators, just start with the simplest statement, the most simple statement at first, then just increment them by more complicated, and so on and so on. That's just for the performance point of view, that would be great. Right, yes, so let's move on. Yes, the second one is assignment, yes, okay. So this is a short example of the operators, of which of them is just same are, like equal, in this case, so like plus equal, that's the same like x plus 3, and so on and so on. So for this, I will share the presentation with you. You can check if you are confused, for example. Yes, there are some operations can be done with some bit operations can be done. So just inversion, like in this case, we just move, and just invert the bytes. So for example, if we have the integer value written in binary system, so it's just invert, just do the inversion of every byte here. If we have 0, it goes to 1. If it's 1, it goes to 0, and so on and so on. Just for those of you who doesn't know what the binary system mean, don't worry, we'll not. So for example, in this one it's 1101. What does it mean? It's simple. We go from right to left. Right here we have 1 times right brackets 2 in the power of 0 plus 0 times 2 in the power of 1 plus 1. Here you can see there's 1 for it. So it's 1 here, 0 here, 1, and the next one is 1. So 1 times 2 in power of 2, right? Since it's the difference, so it's 0, 1, so 0, 1, 2. It points on the position actually where the digit is, and it's as you can see on the fourth position there is 1, so it's 1 times 2 in the power of 3, right? So since that's the fourth position, we have 0, 1, 2, 3, the fourth position. Now we can calculate the value. It's 2 in power of 0, it's 1, right? And it's 0 times something, it's 0, right? Then it's 1, 2 in power of 2, that's 4, right? 2 in power of 2, so it's 1 times 4, it's 4. So next one is 1 times 2 in power of 3, so it's 2 times 2, it's 4, it's 8, or it's 2, and in the result times 2, that's 8. And here we can see it's 13, right? So this is the, and here we got the decimal, it's so-called decimal system, that's what we use, right? And this is number 13 in binary system, right? So yeah, this is how the binary system works. We normally use the decimal system. For example, this is 13. How does it work? It's simple. We have 13, and what does it mean? We can just go the same way from right to left. We have 3. It's 3 times, actually, since that's decimal system, we use 10 instead of 2, right? And here we use 10 in the power of 0. And on the second place we have 1, and we have 1 times 10 in power of 1. Since this is the second position, we start with 0. And here we have 3 plus 10, that's 13. So that's, sorry, some typo, 13. And that is why this is called the decimal system, because it uses 10 as the base. Here we use 2 as the base. Here we use 10 as the base. Right. So yeah, this is the short explanation of what the binary values mean. So yeah, this is the bit inversion operation. If you want to use it, just inverse every bit you have in the number. Then 8 operator, how does it work? It works in the way that we have 0. For example, if we have both zeros, it will result in 0. If one of two digits are 1, it gives us, digits is 0, it gives us 0 as well. Same way here, and if both are 1, it gives us 1, and the result. So 0, 0 is 0, 0, 1 is 0, 1, 0 is 0, and 1, 1 is 1. Right. Okay, then we have exclusive operator, which is quite the same, but which it provides us 1 if we have different values here, right? And it provides us 0 if we have the same values here. And yes, OR operator, which means that if any of these are, for example, if we have 0, 0, it's 0 or 0, it's 0. If we have 0 or 1, it's 1. Like if we have true or false, at least one of them should be 1. In this case, it's 1. In this case, 1 or 2 is 1. Yes, it's true, it's 1. None of these are 1. None of these are 1, so it's 0. It's on, so on. Bit shifting operators, which which actually shifts the the value in the bit system. So this way you can just use it logical or unsigned shift without the sign. Logical, then left shift. So we will not go deeper here, since I'm not sure if we will use it. But if we use it, I will explain you in more details here. Yeah, these are the examples. So the shifting, you can check it out after I share you this presentation. Okay, let's move forward with more, like in my opinion, basic stuff, basic operators. So as you already noticed, there is an equal operator, equal or not equal. Actually, not all of these operators results in Boolean. So true or false. Like if we have value a equals with value 2, true or false, not equals, again, true or false. If it's larger or smaller, that's strict way. If it's larger or smaller, not strict way, and it's just larger, smaller than or equal. Yes, and obviously larger or smaller or equal can be used for yes, and obviously larger or smaller or equal can be used for yes, and obviously larger or smaller or equal can be used for itself. Okay, everything still is fine. Just thought that there's a problem here with the connection. Seems that it's fine. Okay. Yes, be sure about the order of the execution. Yeah, just note that if you use the brackets, for example, then you can manage the way which parts of code need to be, in which way need to be called. Like just as a simple math, you have, for example, 2 plus 2 times 2, right? That's simple. In this case, we know that we should first multiply, so it's 6, right? And if we put the brackets here, then it's first we need to do them to increment 2 by 2 to 2. So in this case we have 4 times 2, and that's 8, right? So the same way with the programming. First of all, we need to check the way the brackets are used. So, and in this case we can set up the right priority for the code, right? Okay, let's move on with the statements. So yeah, the statement is a small standalone element that defines executable action. Right, pretty straightforward. Meaning of statement depends on keywords, operators, and variables. Java statements are doomed with semicolon. Yes, right, that's correct. Yeah, pretty straightforward. You already know what the statement is. The blocks, yes, in Java, the code is located in blocks. Yes, and there's a mandatory definition for the class. As you already noticed, for each class we have the blocks, right? And here we can separate the stuff located inside and outside. Okay. Yes, and of course one block can contain other blocks inside of it. It's pretty straightforward. Data types. Yes, in Java have several data types. The first ones are primitive data, like literals or constants, and variables, and another part, much more bigger part than the primitive data, are objects. Some of them are built-in and some of them are customly created. So we'll check all them. I mean, not all of them, but all the types of the data can be used in Java. Right, yes, identifiers. Yes, that's the name of the element, like variable, could be variable, class, method, void, um, in Java. And there are there are different characters can be used there. It's like it can be later, sorry, later, letter underscore or dollar. They should start with letter underscore or dollar. And there are so many different naming conventions, but again, as I said you last time, please check it out in the environment you're working in. So it can be very different in different projects, the different environments. So check the naming convention, use the naming conventions used there, and follow them. Right, but for most usual case, the variable starts with lowercase letter. And of course, just note that variable name is case sensitive, the same as with the class name and the method name. So everything is case sensitive in Java. So be sure that all the letters you write in the identifiers are in correct case. Yeah, there are several examples here. You can, so for example, to distinguish the parts of the variable, you can just use the variable or the method. You can like separate them in this way, just by adding the lowercase letter or uppercase letter inside the variable or method, but don't use otherwise. Just like don't start with lowercase and don't go then with uppercase. It won't be it won't look nice. Right. Yeah. Another very important topic position here is the topic about the modifiers. As I already mentioned, there are 3 of them used as a keyword: private, protected, public, and the default is the default one, which actually is empty keyword, like nothing. And let me show you how does it work. So imagine we have private default, private, protected, or public variables inside the class. So I already prepared some examples here. Let me just show you. Right, so we have the class. Right, just one moment. Let me do a small note, so you can just note it for yourself. Just to note this slide for yourself, just to follow the steps I'm currently showing you. So first of all, imagine we have a public class which can be used. So this is the base class. That's the class we just created under the package Java syntax. For example, we have 2 packages here. The one package, first package, second package. We are currently here, and so imagine we have like 4 variables. The first one is the default one. In case, again, if we don't have any keyword here like private, protected, or public, it is considered as default. Right? Imagine we have 4 variables here for integers: a, b, c, d. Yeah, right. Default, private, protected, and public. And yes, as it is mentioned in the table, all of them can be used inside the class. Inside this class, you can access them everywhere here. It's not. It's fine. It's good. It will work. So if you have a different class, so as you can see, we are facing like the first issue. not issue, but it should be it should be like this. The first complicated thing for us, it's the fact that we're not able to access the private variable from this class. So as you can see, this is different class, despite that it is located in the same file. This is different class, and just one more thing is that we cannot add another public class here, right? Just notice. So in case you want to declare the public class, we cannot do it. We can just declare the only public class inside the file. Why? Because as I mentioned during the last session, that the name of the file, the Java class is located, and needs to be the same that the public class name declared inside this file. So now we're editing the file, and here we can add as many classes as we want. Private. Okay, we cannot add the private class as well. Just the default one class. Right. So in this case, we can do it this way. And what we can see but it's still we are not able to access the private variable from this class. It's prohibited, right? But we can access protected attribute, the public one and the default one. For this point, I think this is the most interesting part here, especially in this case. Since, as you know, maybe not, let me just explain you. The public variable is the variable which, from point of view in every object-oriented programming, can be accessed everywhere, right? The private one can be accessed inside the class, and nowhere else, right? And then we have the default one is tricky for Java. As you can see in the table, it can be accessed in same class and subclass, non-subclass, but not in different package. And the protected one, from object-oriented point of view, it can be accessed available in all the subclasses. So this is the main purpose of protected variables, protected methods, that they're needed for the inheritance of the superclasses. But as we can see in Java, as we can see here, we can see in the table, it can be used even in the same package, everywhere in the same package, which is a bit interesting from this point of view, right? So as we can see, here it is almost all of the variables are available except the private one. So if we go to another class, which is a subclass of the class we just is a subclass of this class, right? It is reached using the statement that extends, right? We point here that it extends the class access modifiers. Here you can go to it by, for example, okay, in this case it's pretty simple, but if you want, you can press on the control button on your keyboard and go inside, and it will navigate you to the class, to this class, right? So as you can see, this is the subclass of access modifiers class, and you can see there's absolutely the same way all the variables can be accessed. So we are not able to access private variable, but we are able to access all other variables, right? Yes, if we go to a different package, we can see that it's much more complicated case here. If we have the class which is not related to our original class access modifiers, we can see here that only public variable is available, right? We cannot access any other variables here, but in the same with the subclass, because moment, that's a bit strange. Second. Okay, let's. I think it's time for a short break now. That will be the last break today. Until we'll be back in 10 minutes, right?